The strange case of Edward Cayce. For more than 40 years, Edward Cayce claimed to have an altered state of consciousness that revealed profound information. Predicting the future is probably what he is most known for. He described a new era of enlightenment and peace when divinity within humans would be manifested on the earth. But before this, Edward Cayce foresaw a period of natural disasters, wars, economic collapse, and socio-political unrest. Edward Cayce believed that these horrible events could be averted if humanity changed its behavior. This is the purpose for prophecies, to warn people to change so that the prophecies won't happen. A good gloom and doom prophecy is one that doesn't occur. Edward Cayce would say that even the Lord of Lords could not accurately predict future events because humans have free will which can alter and change the future. Skeptics of Edward Cayce point out that some of his predictions did not happen. One can say that his prophecies helped to change enough people to prevent some from occurring. Some of Edward Cayce's visions of the future are as follows. In 1924, Edward Cayce predicted the crash of the stock market after a long bull run which would trigger the Great Depression. In 1931, Edward Cayce foresaw that the Great Depression would lift in the spring of 1933, which it did. In January 1934, Edward Cayce predicted that Hitler would rise in power to reign over Germany. In March 1935, Edward Cayce said that unless spiritual attitudes are raised, world conditions would terminate in a revolution throughout many foreign nations. Later that year in October, Italy invaded Ethiopia. In 1936, the Spanish Civil War broke out. The Soviet campaign of political repression, imprisonment, and execution began in August 1936. In 1937, Japan invaded China. In August 1935, Edward Cayce predicted that Hitler would remain in power until there was an overthrow or an outside war. In July 1939, a retired naval commander asked Edward Cayce, "Am I likely to be recalled to active service within 2 or 3 years?" Edward Cayce answered, "The only likelihood will be in 41. This, too, if the people pray and live as they pray, will pass." Edward Cayce foretold archaeological facts which later proved true. Among other things, he said that the Giza monuments in Egypt were aligned with the stars as of 10,500 BC, and that an ancient civilization influenced the development of Egypt, Maya, and Bharati. Edward Cayce correctly described the location of an Essene community, which was later discovered, and revealed a series of information concerning Palestine. In 1932, Edward Cayce advised the Jews to regard the advent of fascist anti-Semitism in Europe as the time to fulfill the biblical prophecy, which foretold that the Jews would return to Israel. In May of 1948, the nation of Israel was re-established, just as Edward Cayce had predicted. Visions of the future that have not yet happened. Edward Cayce foresaw the possibility of a Third World War with strife arising around those areas above Australia, in the Indian Ocean, and the Persian Gulf. Edward Cayce predicted that there will be 3 profound archaeological discoveries that will revolutionize the way we understand human origins, cosmology, and religion. Edward Cayce predicted China will eventually become a Christian nation. Edward Cayce predicted volcanoes and earthquakes on the southern coast of California and the areas between Salt Lake and the southern portions of Nevada, but there would be more in South America. These would cause changes on the west coast and the central portion of the United States. The ocean level will rise as much as 39.144 meters, feet, with the shifting of the Earth's magnetic poles that melts the polar ice caps. These changes will be gradual. This will mostly affect Asia and the upper portions of Europe. Some lands will rise out of the ocean, particularly off the east coast of the Americas.